A crowded, noisy street filled with moving cars, rushing people, and loud vendors. Zainab pulls a heavy shopping bag behind her while walking fast. Amara follows closely, looking confused and overwhelmed by the city chaos. As they pass, Dexter strides across the background laughing mischievously, pointing at himself with playful confidence. Zainab pulls Amara forward in a hurry. Amara struggles to keep up. They continue walking fast as the city noise swallows them. The market is bright and colorful with vendors, food stalls, and movement everywhere. Dexter enters with exaggerated swagger, walking like a local celebrity. People glance at him. He responds with playful smirks. He approaches Amara, who stands shyly beside Zainab. He flashes a charming smile while she lowers her gaze timidly. He gestures lightly with confidence, showing off. Zainab watches with irritation while Amara looks uncomfortable but curious. Madam Ronke steps out of her shop with stern eyes and folded arms, blocking Dexter's view of Amara. Amara freezes nervously as Madam Ronke stares her down. Madam Ronke gestures for Dexter to leave, and he backs away with a shrug. Amara nods obediently as Madame Ronke gives her strict instructions with a firm expression. Amara walks alone, holding a small bag and looking around the busy city streets. She watches cars zoom by, street vendors bargain loudly, and pedestrians move hurriedly. She pauses briefly and takes in the city beauty, tall buildings, bright sunlight, and movement everywhere. Then she adjusts her bag and continues walking with uncertainty. Amara approaches the compound gate. Dexter suddenly appears, leaning casually on the gate, smiling boldly. He steps closer, attempting to charm her. Amara shakes her head quickly and points toward Madame Ronke's house, signaling responsibility. She steps away from him cautiously. Dexter watches her with playful admiration as she walks off. Amara turns briefly to glance at him, slightly flustered. Madame Ronke multitasks, one hand stirring a steaming pot, the other holding her phone. She looks irritated during the call, then ends it abruptly. Turning to Amara, she hands her a food container and a written address. Amara looks surprised, pointing at the address with uncertainty. Madame Ronke gestures firmly toward the door, insisting she leave immediately. Amara nods, takes the food carefully, and hurries out. The sun sets as Amara reaches a luxurious estate. She stops at the gate, wide eyed at the wealth and beauty of the buildings. Dexter opens the gate from inside with confident ease, leaning on the frame with style. He signals for her to enter. Amara steps inside slowly, amazed by the fancy houses, flowers, and clean environment. Dexter watches her every movement, smiling with calculated charm. Night settles. Madame Ronke anxiously paces inside her shop. She dials a number repeatedly, her face tense. She listens to the response on the phone with suspicion, narrowing her eyes. After ending the call, she stands still, worry filling her expression. Amara stands inside the luxurious living room, her mouth slightly open in awe. She admires the bright lights, expensive furniture, large TV, and elegant decor. Behind her, Dexter closes the front door slowly. The door makes a soft but heavy clicking sound. He watches Amara silently with a sly, calculated expression. The camera moves towards his face, revealing his intentions through his smirk. Amara sits quietly on a low stool, washing plates in a plastic basin. Her eyes look tired from the previous night. Zainab rushes into the shop with anger on her face. She stands in front of Amara, hands on her waist, demanding an explanation. Amara looks up nervously, trying to respond with calm gestures. Zainab shakes her head in disbelief as Amara tries to explain herself. When Amara finally looks away, Zainab studies her closely. suspicious of her story. Dexter leans confidently against his expensive car parked in front of his mansion. Two of his friends surround him as he gestures confidently, bragging about something. His friends respond with impressed expressions while Dexter smirks, acting proud and untouchable. He waves his fingers smoothly, signaling that he has everything under control. Madam Ronke enters carrying a basket filled with vegetables. She approaches Amara with a stern expression, questioning her about the previous night. Amara stands, frightened, trying to defend herself with hand gestures and pleading eyes. Zainab steps in, trying to support Amara, but Madame Ronke ignores her and continues scolding. Madame Ronke warns Amara strictly, pointing toward the door as if forbidding her from visiting certain places again. Amara nods fearfully. Amara sits alone on a stool outside the shop, staring at the ground. She wraps her arms around herself, thinking deeply and worrying about Dexter. A sleek car drives by slowly. It is Dexter. He honks twice, giving Amara a long, knowing look before driving on. Dexter parks his car slightly ahead and steps out with confidence. He approaches Amara with a sly smile. Amara tries to walk away, but Dexter blocks her path gently. She raises her hands as if telling him to stay away. Dexter steps closer, teasing her with his gestures. Amara steps back, shaking her head and looking confused. Dexter leans toward her, reminding her about something from the previous night. Amara freezes, her face filled with confusion and fear, while Dexter smiles smugly, enjoying her discomfort. Zainab rushes into the shop holding a sheet of paper. She shows it to Amara in panic. Amara's face turns pale as she reads what is written. She gestures strongly, insisting she did nothing wrong. Madam Ronke steps forward, furious, scolding both girls and shaking her head in disappointment. She points toward Dexter's direction, clearly banning Amara from ever dealing with him again. Dexter relaxes with two of his friends at a corner hangout spot. He pulls out his phone and shows them a picture, a photo of Amara standing at his door the previous night. His friends react with shock, warning expressions and laughter. Dexter leans back proudly, raising his eyebrows as though he has a powerful weapon. He taps the picture, hinting at his plan to use it against Amara if necessary. Inside her small room, Amara sits on her thin mattress, hugging her knees. Tears roll down her cheeks as she thinks about Dexter's threats. She wipes her face with the back of her hand and breathes shakily, overwhelmed by fear and uncertainty. Her eyes stare blankly at the wall, lost in worry. Amara steps outside to get some fresh air. Her phone vibrates. She opens the message and reads Dexter's threat. Her hands tremble as she holds the phone tightly. She looks around the dark street, terrified, and whispers a silent prayer for protection. Her expression is filled with fear and confusion.